I don't. I mean, I'm coming on to him. I mean, I'm still having fun with Trump. I did love the jokes. I mean, Trump teasing what he's going to do and he's not making the announcement is so funny to me.
Yeah.
Let me tell you, I'm going to be saying something very soon. We're going to say it and we're going to do it and we want to do it and we're going to say things like you wouldn't believe. And many people say they don't want to see it. They don't like that, but we're going to do it.
There are relationships that last for years. Stormy, passionate, full of fire. No, this isn't about Romeo and Juliet. It's about Dana Carvey and Donald Trump. One is a master of parody. The other is a master of, well, alternative reality. Together, they're like an old-school duo. One says, "Make America great again." And the other responds, "Oh God, not again." Yes, Dana Carvey, star of Saturday Night Live, the man who taught America to laugh at politics before it became mandatory. Therapy. He gave us parodies of George Bush, the devil in a church hat, and now a gift to all of humanity, his version of Donald Trump. If we had been given $1 every time Carvey parodied Trump, we would have already built the wall that Trump promised us.
And then we'll so we'd go for weird. This is the sound.
Carvey captured Trump's essence so subtly and accurately that his parody is more like an exact copy with minor artistic improvements. They say that it even got to the point where Trump himself, after watching one of the episodes, supposedly said, "Of course I didn't say that, but if I had, it would have sounded something like that." Which in principle sounds like his usual form of approval. He seems to disavow it, but doesn't forget to remind us that he is a genius and has everything under control. Carvey shows Trump in his, shall we say, natural environment. Not against the backdrop of the White House or a rally, but in a slightly altered version of reality, where humanity has, to put it mildly, gone overboard with the nuclear buttons. That is, everything around him is in ruins, radioactive dust has settled, mutants have probably already started using TikTok, and he, Trump, is as cheerful and radiant as ever. Literally, his skin seems to glow, either from inner enthusiasm or from accumulated uranium. But he himself looks as if he has just returned from a resort. And there he is, standing in the middle of a nuclear apocalypse with a completely unperturbed expression, and begins to speak in the voice of a salesman who's about to offer you a free knife set. Radiation? We have amazing radiation. Simply the best, the most magnificent. Everyone says uranium is terrible, but in fact it's phenomenal. People are now irradiated, yes, but listen, they're happy. Look how they glow. Never before have people been so luminous. A wonderful result. It's like someone trying to comment on Chernobyl in the style of a cosmetics advertisement. Sure, there's a little radiation, but look how rosy their cheeks are.
I saw all of it. It's still to this. Trump is like, you know, how are you qualified to be president? Because I'm good, okay? I'm so good. I know how to do it, okay? Okay.
So Carvey isn't just mocking Trump. He's taking us on a tour of his alternate universe, where any madness can be presented as tremendous success. The irony is that viewers don't even have to stretch their imaginations, because it all sounds suspiciously close to what Trump might actually say. Dana Carvey's uniqueness lies in the fact that he doesn't just imitate Trump. He dissects his behavior down to the molecules and then reassembles it like a magnified model at an exhibition of absurdity. His parody works not because of external similarities or precise copying of intonations, but thanks to a deep understanding of the logic, or lack thereof, behind Trump's actions and speeches. This is not just acting, it is almost an anthropological study of a political phenomenon. Unlike many other parodists, Carvey does not seek to portray his hero in a blatantly negative light. In his performance, Trump is not a villain, a monster, or a madman. He is more like a character from an alternate reality, living in his own coordinate system, where success is measured by applause, ratings, and the number of tweets per minute. And it is precisely this universal self-sufficiency of Trump that Carvey captures with remarkable accuracy.
We're going to do a lot in these countries. Many people are going to be very happy. And then he goes to the center. You're going to be happy. You're going to be happy. And in his brain, I'm improvising. I love Conan.
Well, I feel like I'm like one of those monkeys that has a thing.
Carvey's parody of Trump is particularly effective because it does not distort, but rather exaggerates what already seems exaggerated. When a real politician says things that sound like stand-up comedy, the satirist's job becomes more difficult. It is impossible to compete with the original in absurdity, but Carvey has found an approach. He doesn't try to outdo Trump. He creates a mirror hall where every movement and word of the former president echoes, amplifying the impression and provoking not just laughter, but an awareness of the scale of the absurdity. That is why his work remains relevant. Because it doesn't just mock, it explains. It explains why some of Trump's statements are taken seriously despite their obvious absurdity. Why his supporters continue to see him as a leader, even when he says or does things that previously seemed incompatible with the idea of presidential behavior. Carvey uses satire to expose the structure of Trump's charisma, showing exactly how his public image works. Through self-confidence, manipulation of simple truths, and the ability to turn any criticism into another opportunity for self-promotion. After his triumph on Mars show, Carvey has firmly established himself not just as an actor, but as an independent cultural institution. His Elon Musk is not a person, but a glitchy algorithm in the body of a billionaire who is constantly rebooting himself to speak more convincingly, but only ends up sounding stranger each time. The parody was so convincing that viewers began to write in the comments, "Wait, this isn't a video from a real press conference, is it?"
Because Giuliani has obviously been helping Trump be more presidential. And see, the way you can win, the only way you can win this thing, is you just can't come off like a nutball. You just can't come off like you're completely insane. That is the only way to go.
I know that, okay? Okay. What have you done lately? How old are you? Okay, okay.
Carvey has taken satire to a level where it no longer simply reflects reality. It anticipates it. His versions of famous personalities are not just parodies. They fill the vacuum of absurdity that forms between facts and public perception. And when he plays Musk, it's not, here's a man who makes rockets, but here's techno-utopia incarnate, about to freeze up on live TV. He doesn't portray Elon. He speaks for that strange era when geniuses like presidents are more myth than man.
All right. Check it out, Doc Mega. Yeah, but seriously.
At some point, Carvey began experimenting with formats. His performances on the show began to resemble short TED Talks from a world where the boundaries between parody and news had been completely blurred. He comes on stage, begins a sentence with feigned seriousness, and ends it so absurdly accurately that the audience first laughs and then freezes, suspecting that there is more truth in it than they would like. And this, in essence, is the pinnacle of his art. Not to be funny for the sake of being funny, but to be funny because otherwise it is impossible to endure this absurd news marathon. Carvey became a guide to an era where every politician is almost a character and every billionaire is almost a myth. His images are not caricatures, they are hyper-real. Their absurdity is not fiction, but a reflection of the moods and fears that we have become accustomed to ignoring.
Well, I just wanted to observe a few funny things because I'm watching New Trump.
New Trump.
New Trump. When he says talk, he makes a very specific mouth. They've never seen it before. They've never seen anything like it. They never have. It's never happened before, quite frankly. All they do is talk. All they do is talk. They just talk. They just talk.
That is why in 2025, everyone already knew that if Dana Carvey was taking on a new persona, it meant that someone so strange, controversial, and provocative had reappeared on the cultural scene that their very existence demanded attention. The reaction was immediate. The media, seemingly tired of endless political talk shows with the same old arguments, instantly latched onto the new Carvey. The New Yorker published a column titled "When Satire Becomes Prophecy," while Vanity Fair went so far as to call his speeches the most truthful account of current events on American television. Even CNN, usually very serious in its assessments, inserted a reference to the church lady between economic reports with the caption, "Finally, someone said it out loud." Social media is a whole other story. Every time Carvey appeared as Musk or Trump, short clips went viral, garnering millions of views. People posted their reactions, rewatched the clips, picked out quotes, and looked for references to real events. Threads appeared such as 10 Carvey jokes that were closer to the truth than White House statements. The videos were particularly popular on TikTok, where young people, often far removed from politics, suddenly became interested. Who is this Dana? Carvey? And why does he say things that sound like the news?
What he said. What he said. He's a smart cookie. He's a tough cookie. He's a cookie monster. This one, he's smart. Everybody talks about it.
This is how a new audience emerged, for whom Carvey became not just a comedian, but a guide to political reality. People began to perceive his characters as a tool for navigating socio-political absurdity. This was particularly evident in his attitude toward Trump and Musk. Their public antics, which previously might have seemed like isolated flashes of eccentricity, now formed a logical chain exactly as Carvey presented it. He didn't just laugh at Trump, he deconstructed him. He broke him down into the simplest rhetorical tricks, familiar constructs, and patterns of behavior. As a result, viewers began to perceive Trump's real speeches through the prism of parody, recognizing patterns in advance. Here he's going to praise himself, here he's going to attack the press, and now he's going to say something that he'll later deny. This predictability reduced the shock effect and, in a sense, disarmed it.
But that's what it's like. Excuse me, many people are saying. 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 Crazy, 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 crooked, stupid, evil, stupid, crooked, crazy, crazy, stupid, stupid, evil, evil, crooked, crooked, bang.
When satire begins to shape perceptions rather than simply reflect them, it is no longer comedy but a cultural force. And Dana Carvey, for all his apparent lightheartedness, has become a figure who influences not only his audience, but also those he parodies. Politicians, especially those like Trump, are extremely sensitive to their image in the public sphere. They understand that in the age of memes and clips, it's not so much what they say that matters, but how they look on the internet. Therefore, when Carvey begins to consistently play up certain traits, complacency, narcissism, a split reality, these characteristics gradually begin to be perceived as dominant in the public consciousness. Even if the politician himself later tries to play the new sincerity card, the viewer can no longer separate him from his grotesque doppelganger on stage.
Santos has said recently that he thinks Trump is going woke. That's his angle.
I heard that because of the Disney thing. And Trump woke because he always goes at 10, right? He's just going to go at it more than anyone. I'm woke like you wouldn't believe, I'm telling you. What's happening to these trans women athletes is quite frankly a disgrace. They should be allowed to compete with the girls and get in there.
There is a view that after particularly vivid parodies, teams of politicians, even if grudgingly, begin to take into account the images created by satirists. They change their rhetoric, add humanity, and try to control their facial expressions and gestures. In a sense, Carvey acts as a focus group. If the audience laughs, it means that something is wrong with the image. If the parody points to internal absurdity, it means that the external facade needs to be repaired urgently. Trump, of course, is used to being the center of attention and knows how to play to the crowd as well as any showman. But even he, despite his ostensible disregard, knows that if you are ridiculed intelligently and on a massive scale, it is not just a joke, it is the formation of a narrative. In response to Carvey's parodies, his statements began to become even more theatrical, as if he were trying to shout down his own caricature. Moreover, Carvey's influence can be seen as an informal form of media restraint. He does not exert authority, he does not expose, he ridicules. And there is power in this laughter. It takes away politicians' main weapon, their total seriousness. He turns pompous importance into a balloon that flies off the screen with a loud pop. And while that balloon rustles somewhere on the internet, people start to wonder, maybe the king really is wearing a jester's robe? You could say that, in Carvey's case, the second mirror effect is at work. First, people see the parody and laugh, and then they begin to recognize the parodic elements in reality. This greatly changes their perception. The object becomes predictable and therefore controllable, not literally, but in the minds of the audience.
Is so entertaining.
And I'm the president of the United States, and I'm suing the United States.
If you're not panicked by him, he's just f***ing funny.
The Gulf of America, what a beautiful name.
Now he wants Panama Canal, he wants Greenland.
Well, we need Greenland for national security.
We're going to call it Even More American.
And so, in a world where presidents become influencers, billionaires become memes, and real news sounds like the script of a comedy show, there appears a man who can not only look at all this, but also reassemble it and serve it up with a side of crisp satire, without pathos or malice, but with surgical precision and his trademark squint. Dana Carvey is not just an actor. He is an upgrade of television conscience. He doesn't argue, preach, or explain. He shows, and you decide for yourself what to laugh at. Politicians, the system, or yourself. In a world where reality constantly pretends to be black comedy, all that's left is to learn to laugh louder than it does. And if anyone can help with that, they're probably holding a microphone and wearing either Musk, Trump, or an old lady in a church hat. It all depends on the day of the week. And in this chaos, one thing remains constant. If Dana Carvey shows up, it means the show is just getting started.
Many people, excuse me, many people, excuse me, many people, excuse me, many, you're gonna be happy, you're gonna be happy, like, you know, happy, you're gonna be, excuse